No one likes errors in their program, and it's an obvious truth. No one likes the error, and everyone wants to run their program flawless. But errors are an obvious part of a program, and you cannot avoid them. At some point, you will definitely go with them. So, some errors are good and some of them are really too bad. But again, errors are really bad, but some of them can be handled. So I consider them as a little bit good, and some of them are really nasty and a fast facepalm error that, hey, what I did wrong out there and all of that such thing. So first error are the debug ones, which are shown directly onto your console when you are out running, like in the playground. If I miss out anything and if I declare, let's just say I declare int like that, that is definitely going to prompt me an error. Now these are the debug level error. You get a simple message out there and you can resolve. And in fact, why I call them as a debug level error, that whenever you're trying to build your program, at that moment it will show you the error. It will not allow you to even run your program. But these are not nasty ones, and programmers most of the time are not worried for them because somehow we can go around and we can go work with them. So that's not a problem, but the problematics are the runtime errors. Now the problem with them is they shows nothing at the build time. They allow you to run your program and something happens wrong at the runtime, and then your program crash, your application freeze out, and no one likes that. So that's the nasty problem out there. But Swift has got a solution for that, that is error handling. But before dealing up with the error handling, I would like to discuss one more concept out here that is again essential. Now you can simply say that we have got a force unwrapping and optional options to make sure that we don't get an error. But let me just bear a moment out here. Now, for example, we are having line number 5, we are having a middle name. Now, not everyone has got a middle name, like I don't have one. So simply I'll say just that middle name is an optional string. There might be some value and there might not be some value. And also I'm defining a default middle value. Of course, I'll declare it as a let, because if there is no middle name, I'll just put a blank space out there. Of course, this code is a little bit brittle out there and I'm not checking much out there. But again, the first approach that we have learned so far is declaring a m name, that is a middle name string, and we will only put value in the m name only and only if there is no nil out there. So we are checking for that. We say if middle name is not equals to nil, then assign the m name the middle name. Otherwise, m name would be a default middle name. Okay, this approach has nothing wrong with that, and we can go with that. But there is a simpler solution, and of course everyone wants a simple solution. So the simple solution says this double optional equator. Now this isn't part of an advanced operators, and there are a few of them. Let's discuss for one of them. So I simply said mi name, that is again I here used m name, so I was running out of the variable name, so I just called it as a middle name m name. So it says middle name. If there is a middle name, then simply put that, and put a question mark simply says that if there is no middle name, then simply use the default middle name. So it's a shorthand for having if and else in case of optional. Again, really powerful, really useful, and I'm quite a fan of this. So instead I could have simply just commented that out and I could have used this one. So this is a simpler approach, and you will see this approach quite a lot in the documentation, in the frameworks, Cocoa, WatchKit, UIKit, and tons of wares where you can see that. Now coming back onto the errors. Now yes, errors can be of dozens of types, dozens of things can happen, but some of them we can watch out for. For example, we are having a vending machine example, the most popular example over the internet. So I have declared it as enum type. Again, Apple says that whenever you are having many types of error, it is recommended to use the enums. But you can feel free to go with the other ways, but it's an official recommendation. And in that, I'm defining a variety of cases. Now this, again, important part is this error type. It should always be an error type. It's a simpler and empty protocol. Question, what is the protocol? Don't worry about it. The next movies are going to deal up with that. Right now, just say it is something. We are not worried about that. So we are having a case out there, and it says invalid selection, insufficient amount, and out of stock. There are three kinds of error which can happen. And again, one of them returns an integer as well, or is a type of integer as well. So once we have that, again, we are defining a structure. Now, rest of the code is really simple. I will not go much deep into that because it's a self-explanatory. I'll only point out those things which are not at all self-explanatory. So here we are defining a few variables. We are having a few inventories in them. Few items are being placed inside a vending machine, and we are dispatching the whatever your favorite snack is. But the problematic part is when we vend, that what kind of errors are grown up and what kind of functions are dealing with up and how we can talk about them. Now, when we talk about the error handling, there are two certainly types of things. One of them is the function. Now, two types of function, obviously. The one function is that which simply returns an error type, and another one is the function which handles the error type inside the function. So one handling inside it, one just throwing it outside as a return type. So let's talk about them. So here we have got a function which is vend. It returns a name as a string, but notice there is a throw out there. Now this throws is actually making sure that it is throwing an error just outside the function out there. And yes, I could have this kind of syntax, like it could have returned a string value as well or something like that. That syntax is also perfectly valid out there. But again, right now this logic is not going to work with that, but I'm just making sure that you understand that yes, this thing also works. And also we have got a guard keyword, which is slightly new. Now what happens whenever you run any program, there is a just about to run point where your machine is about to going to get crash or throw up an error. This is just behind the point which simply says that yes, we are about to get an error, so just guard the content and throws an error just before that. So that is what the guard keyword is being used. And in fact, I would recommend whenever you use a function and you seek out that yes, this might be a problematic statement, then always use a guard keyword out there. And simply we are throwing one of the errors which we have defined out here, that is invalid selection. So we are saying that vending machine error dot invalid selection. So simply accessing the structure, nothing extraordinary is being happening out here. And in that we have got other types of things as well, like we have got an item count. Again, if the count is maybe greater than 0, then we can throw up an error and all such things. So the syntax is simple. We have got just two types of function. This one which throws out an error and this one which deals up with the error inside the function. So quite an interesting one. Okay, this is the one method how we solve the errors, but there is another one. In fact, this is my favorite one where I can directly throws the error, can deal up with that with the structure, but there is also a keyword, and that keyword is responsible for messing around with the do while loop because the do keyword is being used here. So you can see again, we have got a favorite snacks out there and we are trying to buy them. So if it throws an error, there is again a method with the do try catch method. So what it does, simply let's say we are defining a variable again of vending machine type, and I would say just we are defining an object rather technically being correct. And it says that we are having 8 coins. So it says do. Now just try to do that. If you try and succeed, that okay. And if you don't get succeed, just catch the error, as simple as it sounds. So it says do. Okay, so it will be a looping kind of thing, and we try to buy the favorite snack for Alice, which is chips. And we notice down what is the amount of chips and all the functionalities being going on. And vending machine just throws the vending machine objects and all of that. But in case this might be a wrong selection, then try to catch the errors. And there can be 3 types of error for this of our code. And we can make all of these invalid selections out of stock, and these are custom. Now, I have given here the invalid selections as an error type out here. Notice we have got an invalid selection and insufficient amount, but this is not going to be case in real time. In real time, what I like to do is whenever I run the program and there is a nasty errors, I just copy that error and paste that as a case. So in case that error happens, I am sure that how to handle that error or how to catch that error. So this is one of my way how to deal with that. But again, the error handling is not much drastically different from the other programming language. It's just the same way to make sure that you don't fall into the runtime errors.